Welcome to the recorded version of the Thunderbird presentation. This perhaps may be a little longer and a little different than what you saw live. Obviously, I don't have a script for this, and I don't have any questions being asked. So, try and make this as complete as I can. And again, if you ever have questions, you can get a hold of me directly. You can leave a phone message for me, 440-296-9197, or you can email me, bruce@brockman1.com. So we're going to talk about Thunderbird. And Thunderbird, what is it and how can it help you? Two most important questions. Thunderbird is about email, and it is called an email client. But first we're going to talk a little bit about how email works, and it's been my experience that not a lot of people really truly understand what happens after you send an email, or how you get an email, where it goes, and why it gets to you. So this is just going to be a little brief explanation about how email actually works. So when you compose an email, or someone composes an email to you, and we'll assume that that's what's going to happen now, they type up the email and they address it to John Smith at the XYZ company. And they push send, and it goes to an SMTP server. And again, you don't need to know what these things stand for. Occasionally you're going to get asked for the SMTP information when you're filling out the original email questions. So it goes to that server, and from there it goes to a DNS server. And the DNS server basically looks up the address, the xyz.com, to find out where that is, where it's being hosted, and where the mail has to be forwarded to. So it goes from the DNS server across the internet to the xyz.com domain server. And from there it goes to their MTA server, which puts it in a folder for John Smith, and then John Smith contacts that server and asks for his mail via either IMAP or POP. And we will explain that as we go on a little more in depth. But IMAP actually allows the mail to remain on the server, and you can show forwarding, and it can be affected on the server, so you can show that you forwarded it, or you replied to it, or whatever you did. With POP mail, it goes directly to your computer, takes up space, and the server doesn't know if you forwarded or responded to it or whatever. It's always kept on your computer. Now, you'll see that there are some dotted red lines here, and this represents the XYZ company's servers. But they could just as easily be the Gmail servers, or the Yahoo servers, or Cox.net, or Huawei. They have a similar setup, and if this was addressed to John Smith at gmail.com, it would follow the same route, and would get to the Gmail domain server, where it would be sorted through and get to the user account folder, and then the same thing happens. It either gets forwarded by IMAP or POP. And the reverse is true as far as you sending back through the system. It just gets reversed up here. So that's basic understanding of how email works and where your email is in the overall scope of things. Okay, whether you love your email or you hate it for a variety of reasons, and I know people that do, you really do need it. In today's world, there's a whole lot that happens that email becomes important as far as getting information is concerned. So making it easier for you is what an email client, and in this case Thunderbird, is all about. And it should make it easier for you using an email client. So the one we're going to talk about is Mozilla Thunderbird. And if you really are interested in what an email client is, I put a link in here that will take you to email client, an explanation by Wikipedia. And basically, an email client just receives your messages retrieves them from a mailbox. It allows you to compose messages, and it submits messages to an SMTP server. It allows you to put encryption on your mail. Webmail is when you log into your Gmail account on the internet without using a web server, without using an email client. The best thing about an email client is it allows you to handle many accounts all at one time, and you don't have to log in to your webmail individually for the accounts. When you start the program, it goes out to all your servers and asks for the mail, and you see it all in one place. The advantages of the POP versus IMAP, and we did talk a little bit about that. In most cases, if your server will allow you to have IMAP, that is indeed what you want to do. It's safer, and it is more complete. It allows you to know whether you forwarded it or whether you replied to it and all of that. So, and you can reach it from a computer anywhere in the world at any time. If you want to do more reading on it, obviously Wikipedia is a great place to do that. Okay, so probably the email clients that you would be familiar with would probably either be Outlook or Thunderbird or Mail if you're using Apple products. But this particular article on Wikipedia does indeed go into a comparison of all of the major. They keep asking for a donation, and I have donated to Wikipedia. It's a good cause. They provide a great service, and I use it on a regular basis. Anyhow, this lists all of the various email clients, who was created by, what operating system it works with, what it costs, what type of license, and the user interface. So anyhow, it's an interesting list. There are indeed, you can see lots of them. This is a history, the release history of when the program started and how many releases there have been, and things of that nature. You can see Thunderbird here was started July 28th, 2003. They're currently up to version 24.1, which was released October 29th of this year, 8 days ago. 8 days ago from when I made this little video, anyhow. And you can see that they give you a lot of information about all the different clients that are available. I've used several. A lot of these I haven't used, but many of them are specialized for a particular company. And again, it's interesting reading if that sort of thing interests you. But the one we're going to focus on is Mozilla Thunderbird. And Mozilla is an interesting read for you, too, if you want to look them up on Wikipedia. They write a good deal of free software, and it's considered as good as it gets. Okay, again, Outlook, and there are various versions of Outlook. Outlook.com is the most recent thing. That's where you're getting email addresses today. There was Outlook Express, which was more like Thunderbird, and Windows Mail, which was part of 7 and Vista. Thunderbird, again, by Mozilla, and it also had Netscape Messenger, which was written Mozilla, and SeaMonkey, which is still going and fairly popular as far as a client is concerned. For the Apple side, basically there is just Mail. That's the popular one, written, of course, by Apple. So why are we thinking about using Thunderbird? One of the main reasons is it's easy to set up and easy to use. It has a setup wizard, and basically all you do is you fill in your name, your email address, and your password, and click OK, and you don't have to worry about any of the POP servers or the IMAP servers or the SMTP servers or any of that information that goes out and looks for it for you and fills that stuff in. They're always improving their interface, and again, this is all free to you to use. They have a whole team of people that work on this and donate their time. So there's always improvements coming along. Again, I've been with them since they started in 2003, and the interface has changed a good deal since then. Biggest thing now is they have a tabbed version of the interface, which looks an awful lot like your web browsers do. One of the big deals, for me anyhow, was entering information. So you got an email from somebody, you'd like to put them in your email book, in your address book, and you can either copy and paste, and sometimes that didn't work and it was just a chore. Simply you click on the little star next to their name and it puts it in the address book. If you double click on that, it'll open up the address book and it allows you to put in all kinds of information about that person, birthdays and wife's name and pictures and children and business and all kinds of things. So that certainly is a good feature, and I use it a good deal. Attachment reminder. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an email from somebody that's, and 5 minutes later get another email that says, oh, I forgot to attach the file that I was sending you and whatever. If you use certain words in Thunderbird when you're composing a message, it determines that you should have an attachment because you said you were attaching or you were sending or whatever. And it'll remind you before you send it out whether to do it or not. Small thing, but it saves a lot of aggravation as far as I'm concerned anyhow. You can customize all of the Mozilla products quite a bit. There are a lot of add-on features, and I like that because it doesn't give you bloatware to start with. It isn't a huge thing that you have a bunch of buttons that you'll never use. You can add things to the program that are important to you to add, and it has a manager that keeps track of what you've added, when you added it, and if you don't want to keep using it, you can delete it right from the manager. Handy feature. Large file management, and I'm a fan of that. I didn't used to be, but when you send large files, and certainly everyone that uses email has run into the problem that either your server won't take anything of that size or who you're sending it to won't take anything of that size. So you have to either zip it or do something. And they take up a lot of room on your computer, and they take up room on the person you're sending it to, the computer, and so on and so on. There is an automatic feature with Thunderbird, and you set it up for taking care of large files, and you determine what a large file is. It can be 5 meg, it can be 10 meg, whatever you think a large file should be. And when you go to attach something of that, it goes into a process, and we're going to talk a little more in depth about that here in a second. It has smart folders, so you can put folders in folders and add folders, and if you're using IMAP, that all goes into your webmail also. All those folders are created there, just to keep it in an order that makes sense to you. And it does a pretty good job of setting up folders to begin with, but you can do that. And there's also an awful lot of customization you can do that's built into the program. Gives you different looks, and whatever works for you is what they want you to have. So I was talking about the large file function, and that gets set up under options, and when you click on options under tools, you get this window, and it gives you a variety of things to look at. General options, display options, composition, chat, security. This one is under the attachments options, and there are 2 tabs here, incoming and outgoing. So we're looking at the outgoing, and I said you can offer to share the file larger than, and you determine how big. 5 meg is what it's set for here. And then you get a one-time chore of setting up a free service. Ubuntu is actually Linux-based, one of the major purveyors of that. Anyhow, they have a free service, give you 5.5 gig availability, and you go and set that up. If you say that you want to do that, you add a service, and this window opens up, and you choose whether it's Ubuntu, or there are 3 other ones that are associated with it that you can use. You set it up, close it up, and whenever you go to write an email, and we're writing one to myself, and I want to attach a file to it, one of the Thunderbird videos that I've done, it says, do you want to attach this file and send it through Ubuntu? And you click yes, and it automatically uploads it to them. When it's done uploading, and it's a fairly fast server, this shows up on your email, which then you send it off to the person. When they get it, it looks like this, and it says, I've linked one file to this email. They click on it, and it's on their server. Now, they can download it and keep it. They can just look at it. They can do whatever they want to do. But it unclutters both of your email boxes, and you can send, I think the maximum file you can send, I know with Box, which is one of the other ones, it's 250 megs, which is a pretty decent sized file. So, just an added feature that makes this a great email client as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it has multiple search options, so even though you're looking at your email interface, it allows you to search both the internet and your email with its search facility, which is just at the top of the interface, and you type in this case they typed in Summer Olympics, and it says, do you want to look for messages mentioning Summer Olympics, or do you want to search the web for Summer Olympics? And you choose which one you want. Click search, and you'll get a new tab that comes up, and it will either have, it'll look like a web page to you, although it's in your email client, or it will search through your messages and see if it can find something there for you. the search tools are really fairly sophisticated, and you can do some quick filtering. There are buttons on the interface that allow you to filter through the messages that make it happen a lot quicker for you. And these are the ones that we're talking about. You can filter a word from the recipient or from the sender or in the body of it or so on and so forth. Makes it very fast, actually. Depends on how much email you have. I currently have almost 30,000 emails in my Thunderbird, which takes it a while to search it all if I'm searching the bodies. Anyway, you can archive your messages, which unclutters your email and puts it in a separate folder. Up to you whether you do that or not. I basically back mine up and then just clean it off totally. I think I need to do that now with almost 30,000 emails. Okay, secure and protect your email, cutting out the junk, and they have some excellent spam filters that are part of the program itself, and you can customize it to what you think is spam. You can add people that they don't think are spam, or you can take out people that they think are spam that aren't spam. It really is a good feature and does keep your inbox fairly clean. They also have good security, and they also have a do not track button. NSA is still probably looking, so I don't know. You're telling the people if you're going through an advertisement that you don't want them to track you. They still can. Whether they do or not, I suppose, depends on the integrity of the company we're talking about. Okay. Phishing protection, and this again is part of a database that they have that says there are certain websites that are basically out there to scam you, and they will alert you if you're heading to one of those, which is never a good idea. And an activities manager, which tells you all the contact that your computer has had with the mail servers at what time and what happened and all that sort of thing. Automatic update, and depends on the program whether I use automatic updates or not. With Thunderbird, it is a good idea, and they do update it on a fairly regular basis. Again, because they're not paying people, they have a lot of people that are just interested in either making a name for themselves or helping people or whatever their motivation. They have a lot of people that do work on this program, so it's a good feature, and I would leave this set to get automatic updates, although you can not. This video is going to talk about how to install Thunderbird on your computer. For this video, I am using a computer that's running Windows XP, which seems to be the majority of the folks that will view this, although it will be slightly different depending on whether you're running Vista or 7 or 8 or even a Mac machine. There is indeed a Thunderbird version for Mac. Certainly one of the most popular programs in the world. So, as you navigate to the Mozilla page that has Thunderbird, you'll see the icon for Thunderbird free download. You click on that, and you need to know where your computer is going to store that file when it's done downloading it. Most Windows computers are going to put it in a folder called Downloads, where you can then access the file and complete the installation. Again, we're using XP as an example here. Could be slightly different on the computer you're using. So we're going to assume that we've downloaded it. It's in the downloads file, and at this point we have put it up on the desktop so you can see how the installation is done. So here's the Thunderbird install file. I put it on the desktop, and you can use it directly out of the folder that it's in your downloads folder. I just put it on the desktop so it's easier to see and won't confuse people because it's in a different folder than on their computer. When you go to download it, it's going to tell you where it's going to put it, so make sure you make note of that if you aren't used to doing this. Okay, so we double click and it's going to extract files, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, it's finished extracting files, and it's the setup wizard, and we click next. And I would think you want to do a standard installation. At this point you can come back and customize it at any time, and your choice on leaving this box checked or unchecked, whether you want this to be your default mail handler application if you're using Outlook currently and really using it. Probably you want to uncheck this box and then use Thunderbird for a while and see if you like this better than what you're currently using. I'm a big Thunderbird fan, so I'm going to leave it checked, and we go to next, and this asks you where you want to put the files, and my suggestion is don't change that ever, and click install. It's not very long to install. It's a fairly quick installation. So I'm probably not going to pause our little video at the moment, but we will, yes, it's done. So now you come to this screen and it says you've completed the installation. Do you want to launch the program? And we're going to leave that checked and click finish. And it's loading up the files now, and it wants to know, do you want to import things from Outlook Express, Outlook, or don't import anything, which is what I'm going to choose at this point. You can choose to import your contact lists and all that. It can be done later. It's easier to do it now, but up to you. Click next. And first screen you're going to see is like this. And the first thing they're going to ask you is, do you have an email address that you like? If not, would you like them to find one for you? And they're going to charge you for it. You can get some pretty neat things. You can actually get your name dot something or whatever you want. I don't know many people that do it, but up to you. You can play with that part of it and see if you think you want to let them find an email address. Skip this and use my existing email is what I'm going to do here. And this is the screen you see next. Okay, we're going to use one of my Gmail accounts that I use for mostly demonstration purposes. Which you type in the email address that you want to put in. And a password. Okay, and you ask it to remember your password. It has a place in the program where they'll keep track of your passwords for you so you don't have to sign in every time. So once you've filled in the information, and that's the way it's going to look when you send out an email, it's going to be from that person. This is the email account we're using. And that's the password, which you only have to put in once. Remember the password and continue. Okay, and at this point it asks you whether you're going to do an IMAP or a POP3. And the basic difference between the two. With an IMAP is it keeps the actual emails on the email server rather than you're looking at basically a picture of what's on the server on your computer. Or do you want the post office type, and that brings the actual email into your computer and it is not on the server anymore. So in most cases you want to use IMAP. That allows you to do a lot more things, which we aren't going to cover right now. So you say done, and it's going to then set up this account for you. Okay, it communicates with Google Gmail, and it sets up the account. So you have an inbox, you have a drafts, you have sent mail, all mail, spam folder, trash folder, important things, starred things, personal things, and receipts. And you can add more folders here, up to you what you want to have. It so happens I had added these folders to my Gmail account, and so when I add a computer to it, it just brings the folders in there. That's what Google has for this particular account. This is the only email that's in this box. Again, this is a test only. If you click on your email, it actually now is going to the server, and that's just a picture from long, long ago. One of the ones I dug up for the reunion I did recently. What a difference 50 years makes. Indeed it does. Anyhow, that's the quick installation of Thunderbird, and we will talk more about all of the nuances. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the interface. Like any Windows programs, there are a lot of different ways to do the same thing. Very redundant and pretty much standard, but there are a lot of features that they have that I think are excellent. So we have a menu bar, which is a typical menu bar. The layout that we have now is the classic layout for them, with all of your accounts over here in the left-hand column. Your emails appear here, and whatever email you highlight, the body of it, preview of the body of it, shows up down here. When it's highlighted, you can reply, forward, archive, junk it, delete it, whatever you care to do to it while you're looking at it. So that's the basic interface. Under File, pretty normal type things. You can open a saved message. You can get new messages for whatever, compact the folders, empty the trash, do normal email type things. Edit, you can undo, and that basically when you're sending an email, delete a message, select things, find things, and this is another way to find a specific word, a specific company, whatever it is, and it opens up a list of ways to do that. You can view, and there are additional toolbars that you can put up. The layout, and we'll show you some of the layouts here in a second. What you can do with the folders. You can increase or decrease the size of things to make it easier to see, and so on. You can go to the next message, the next folder, the next whatever, the previous same thing. This does have a chat function for those of you that do use email to chat with. I'm not even going to go into that in this particular presentation. Okay, and here we're talking about the layouts, and I said this was in the classic view, which it is. And you can go to a wide view or a vertical view, and you can have the folders panes and the message panes, whichever you want. Here we've changed to the horizontal view, where the entire body of the base of the window is the email. Makes it easier to see. You get obviously less email showing here, but easier to see. And then you can go to the vertical version, which puts the text of the email on the right and your list of your emails here. And that was done with a different computer, obviously. But a different look, and whatever is easiest for you to use. Okay, we can then go to messages, and again, long list of things that you can do. And if you're chatting, you can have threads and subthreads and watch a thread and do all of those things, as well as with news groups. And this has a excellent news group, again, which is another presentation. Tools, the two most important ones for you here, although you can import in there, you can import your contacts and you can import emails and things that'll make your life easier. You also have account settings and options. Those are the two major things for each from tools. If you decide to use Thunderbird, you can import, and there are a variety of file types that you can use to bring into Thunderbird, and there's a good deal of tutorials written out there on how to do it. Typical help things here, although their help section for Thunderbird is excellent. And there is a huge user group out there that can answer virtually any question you might have. And again, we were talking about the tabs, and this one tells you you're in your inbox, but you can have several tabs open for messages or internet searches you've done or whatever. Okay, and this are some of the buttons that you have available to you. You can get mail, you can write, if you're going to compose, that's where you do. If you're going to chat, you can look at your address book. You can tag a particular email that's important or whatever you want to tag it. You can make up custom tags for it. You can do a quick filter here. And you can then search, as I told you, the internet or your mail. And you can do it one mailbox or many at a time if you have several emails that are being controlled by Thunderbird. So when you want to send an email, you click on the right icon up here, the tab button, and it'll bring up a new window. Pretty normal type window for sending an email. You fill in the address of the person you're sending it to. This says from, and if you have more than one email in Thunderbird, you can choose to send it out of whichever one you want, as well as some aliases if you choose to put aliases in there just by clicking the little down arrow over here. And in here you can do carbon copy, blind copy, on and on. When you have an email that has an attachment, and it shows the little paper clip for the attachment on the email, and down at the bottom it'll say two attachments and the size of the attachments. So there is a little plus button there that will break it down and show you the two separate files, whatever they are. And you have the option to save them when they're shown as two, or if you split them, you can save one or the other. And again, there's a setting as to where you're going to save these. Typically, you can't play them directly or see them directly from here unless they've been inserted in the email, which would show up in the body rather than as an attachment. When you want to add a new contact, you go into your address book and you add a new contact. And again, you can have several different address books, make as many as you like. This is what the new contact window looks like, and on the contact page you have a place for name and what name to display. If they have a nickname, you can display that, or if you have a nickname for them, you can put it here. Their email address, additional email addresses, chat names, work, blah blah, private information, work information about it, other information about it, a photo of them, whatever you would like to put into their contact you can, and birthdays and whatever. Good place to have everything all in one place. Okay, a little more about the interface. As I told you before, a lot of redundancy. You see message filters here, and which comes from this button, which gives you all of these options. Or under tools, you can get to message filters also. So two different ways to get it to get into the program message filters. While we're here, just two other quick things that I think are important. This one is Evernote, and that certainly is another presentation altogether. And this is a very sophisticated calendar program, and a good place to have a calendar program in your email. You can look at it and use it if you think it's something you might need. Okay, and the filters. What filters do for you? When you get email, if there's an email you get that you want to forward to somebody else, every time you get that particular email, you can use the filter to do that. If there's an email that you get every time you get from that company, that person, whatever, you want to put it in a special folder, you can do that. There are all kinds of things that you can do, and based on a lot of things in the email. So this is the filters. These are an individual one that you would make up. So if you call this filter A, you can, if something appears in the body and the body contains that word, then you would do this. And again, these are drop-down boxes. Can be the body, can be from, can be to, can be date, can be size, can be a lot of different things. And this can be too. Forward to archive, move to folder, a lot of different things you can do with it. You can have several filters running all at the same time. Keeps your box organized, and you can keep other people up to date on particular things. You know, if the body contains something that you have a group that's interested, say genealogy, any email that comes in about genealogy can be disseminated to several people automatically. You don't even have to do it. Excellent feature of this program. And you can add as many new ones as you want. One of the items under tools that we looked at earlier was account settings. And we're going to cover this fairly quickly. there are things here that you may need sometime, and there are things here that you probably never will need. The idea is for you to know that all these things can be changed and made to work just for you, the way you want them to work. So the first thing you see under account settings is your account name. And the only one here that you probably would need to do is attach a signature card if you want to, or to manage your identity, which means you can send your mail with a different email address, and you just add an identity, and that's if you're doing Bruce's Bake Sale. You could have it from Bruce's Bake Sale. Anyhow, those are things that you can do, your account settings. And next we'll move here to server settings. And the things that you may want to change here is that check for new messages at startup when you open Thunderbird, and then check for them and you can change, but it's set, the default is 10 minutes. And it tells you when you delete a message, where do you want it to go, and those types of things. The most important one, obviously, is how often to check for messages, so you don't manually have to do it. Okay, under copies and folders, tells Thunderbird where you want to put things after you've dealt with them. And you can move things around, you can automatically archive, you can do a variety of things there. Okay, your junk settings, what to do with the junk. Enable adaptive junk mail controls for this account. And it learns the things that you normally junk, throw away, mark as junk, and then it will automatically put them there for you. You don't have to do it anymore. And again, you can set trust junk mail headers set by Spam Assassin would be the one that they recommend. Lots of things you can do there. You don't need to do anything there if you've got the other security running as you should on your computer. Synchronization and storage, and again, you can tell how long you want to keep messages for and then automatically get rid of them. Up to you. Again, probably the default things are just fine. Keep messages for this account on this computer, and that's for offline work. Return receipts. Sometimes people ask for a return receipt, and you have a choice of how you want to handle when they ask for a return receipt. Security, and this has to do with certificates and so on, and we're going to talk about that just a little bit. After you've looked at your account settings, you have options. And this is the window that comes up when you press options, and there are general options, and you see that's general addressing and spelling under the composition tabs. You have general, display, composition, chat, security, attachments, advanced, and calendar. And each one of those will have specific tabs that you can deal with. And this one, in composition, it auto saves every 5 minutes when you're writing an email. In security, this is an interesting one, and it has to do with passwords. And you can save passwords with Thunderbird and with Firefox, and they're put in a special folder, and if you ever forget your passwords, you actually can get to them. So in the security, you go to the password tabs, and it brings up save passwords, and if you want to make sure that someone else doesn't get at your computer and look at your passwords, you can use a master password that will allow you then to get into your password list. If that isn't checked, you don't need to, and then you go to Save Passwords. This window pops up, and here are all of the saved passwords that you have. For Thunderbird, it is all your email accounts. I have a few of them listed here, and Evernote, and there's some Google things and whatever that are saved here. And if you click on Show Passwords, it will actually give you the password for that particular, you highlight it and it'll give you the password for that particular account. But if you use KeePass, as I tell everyone to do, you won't ever have to worry about finding it here. We're now going to briefly talk about add-ons and extensions for Thunderbird. Now these are things that don't come with the basic program and let you customize it to fit your needs. So there are two ways of doing this. You can do it directly out of Thunderbird, which we're going to do first. You go up to Tools and you go to Add-ons, and it says Get Add-ons. So it takes you actually to the Thunderbird add-on page. But we're still in Thunderbird, and it's added a new tab. And that's a great feature of Thunderbird. It's tabbed just like your browser is tabbed. So every time you open an email or whatever, completely open it to read it, it's opened in a new tab, and they run across the top. So one of the most useful of the add-ons that I found is Lightning, and that is a calendar program that ties right into your email. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our installation here of Thunderbird. Double click, and an explanation of what it is, and was last updated September 17th of this year, and a variety of things talks about. Some good, some bad, but it'll tell you a lot about the program. But we're going to add this to Thunderbird quickly. We click here, and always it brings you to this page that if you install bad things can happen, and yes, we understand that, but we're going to install it right now because we know that this particular one, anything that shows up on their page is typically fine to install. So it is installed now, and up here you'll see it says Restart Now, which in order to have that, it needs to be restarted. Okay, so now we can close this tab. We're finished, and again, there are a lot more add-ons that you can get, but we see that it's added over here another column, and this actually is a calendar, and you can expand this calendar if you want to, so it actually covers the whole page with these buttons up here, and you can add 2 individual days. You can show this in a daily or weekly or monthly, however you would want to show this. You can also have a variety of ways to sort tasks and show tasks. So that's your calendar, and still we're in a tab now. We're in the task tab of the calendar. There's the events tab. You can create a new event. Pretty similar. The only nice thing about this is it's integrated with your email, so it can remind you to do things. It has a synchronization button. If you're running more than one copy of Thunderbird on computers, it can synchronize between the two. We'll go back to the inbox. See, it's the other tab, and it's called for inbox. The other way to get add-ons is through the internet. This is Firefox, and we did a search for Thunderbird add-ons, and it brought us to this page. And it also on this page has extensions, which are a little different. They actually interact with other programs in your computer. But again, it has a variety of things to customize your email so it's useful to you. We're going to talk briefly about secure email. You can do a reasonable job of making sure that things that you send to people are not tampered with prior to them getting there, and that no one is reading the email prior to it arriving at where you sent it. There are a variety of free programs that will issue a certificate to you for your email account, and we're going to go through the one that I've used mostly and show you how it's done. So we're now going to talk briefly about securing your email and being able to send email that you'll be confident it won't be tampered with or opened by anyone other than the person you send it to. And you can get free email security certificates from a variety of companies. This is one I've used in the past, and it works extremely well with Firefox and Thunderbird in combination. It certainly works with Internet Explorer also, and a variety of other email clients. But for demonstration purposes, you're going to see how to do it with Firefox and Thunderbird. So once you navigate to this page, and I've included a link in the video and sheet that you're going to get, you click on free email certificates, free download. Once you've clicked on that, it redirects you to this page, and you have to apply for this because it is actually a legal issue. I'm going to fill this out, and we'll come back here in a second. Okay, I've filled this form out, and we're doing it for the test Gmail account that I've set up. You put your name, the email account, and what country. You can get a variety of certificates, high grade or medium grade, and you want the high grade certificate. The next line is for what's called a revocation password. If for any reason you need to revoke this certificate, it gets compromised, which is highly unlikely. I don't think that any of you are selling trade secrets or government secrets or whatever, but if you need to revoke this certificate and you want to get a different certificate or whatever, you have to remember this particular password. It's the only way it can be revoked. There's no way to retrieve it other than you know it. So, as I've told you before, keep all your passwords in one place, preferably KeePass, and you'll always be able to find them. We're going to need to make up one more password as we go along here, and you want to keep that also in KeePass. So if you want to read all of the legal mumbo-jumbo, go ahead. I have, and there's nothing there that you shouldn't accept, so we accept it. We click Next, and it says the application was successful. And now they're going to email to that account the certificate, or how to get the certificate anyhow. So we will need then to open up Thunderbird and wait for the certificate to show up. So we opened up Thunderbird, and lo and behold, the emails from Komomo were there. And also, I checked the box to subscribe to their informational newsletter. Just gives you more information about security if you want to. If not, you can unsubscribe to it quite easily. So this email is in regards to the certificate. And it says, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And you click here to install the certificate. So we're going to click that. And it brings up Firefox, and it says your personal certificate has been installed. You should keep a backup copy of this certificate. Yes, you should. So we click OK. Now, to look at this certificate, you go to Tools, Options, Advanced, Certificates, View Certificates. And we want My Certificates. And here's the certificate that we just installed. And we want to highlight that and say back up. Okay, so we're going to put it in My Documents for the moment. You could create a file called certificates. You could put it wherever you want, but again, it's another one you want to remember where it is. Typically, I would create a folder called certificates and put it in there. And as a matter of fact, I did. Here's a folder called certificates, so that's where we're going to put it. And we're going to call this, have to give it a name, so we're going to call it Gmail. Tech was the name of the account. Okay, so we've given it a name. We're going to put it in a folder called certificates, save it, and here is where the password comes in again. We've got to have another password. And in this case, in order to use this certificate again, there's going to be a password connected to it that you have to enter in order to use it, which you're going to want to do. Okay, I've entered a fairly strong password in here, and we will click OK. And it says it was successfully backed up. So now we need to get this certificate into Thunderbird. So we will close this stuff down. Okay, now we're at Thunderbird and we want to install the certificates here. And this procedure is very similar to what we did in Firefox. So we go to Tools, Options, Advanced, Certificates, View Certificates, Your Certificates. And we're going to import that certificate. So we navigate to the certificate file folder. That's the one we want. That's what we just did. We open it and it's going to ask for the password, of course. So I've entered the password. Click open. And it's put the certificate in there with its private key. There it is. So any email that is sent now from this account, from this computer, and this certificate can be installed on other computers, assuming you have the password. Anything we send with this will be secure. The people on the other end will know that it hasn't been tampered with, and no one else can open it except who you send it to. So that was a brief description of how to install a certificate for your email. Well, this is the point in the live presentation where you get to ask questions. But if you have questions, you probably need to go back to the beginning of the presentation and look at it again, or to a point where you have questions. Or call me. Or email me. And the end for now. But because I said I would, I'm giving you a couple of bonus things that won't be part of the live presentation. JD Voicemail, a little program that I've used forever for mostly seniors that use voicemail that don't want to type, but there are a lot of people that don't like typing that well, would rather talk their email, and this program is for that very purpose. It's the best I've found. It makes extremely small voice files. It links to your email program. When you click send, it brings up a blank email and attaches the file to it. Great little program. You should explore it and use it. Backup Thunderbird. A lot of people would like to back up their email, certainly their address book as well as their emails. This program from Mozilla indeed does that and does it well. It also would back up all your settings and favorites in Firefox. A good program. There's a little movie on it on how to install it and what it does, as well as the program is in the programs folder. And finally, there's a video in there on file structure, on how to file things so you can find them. Certainly one of the most important things you can do with a computer. It's wonderful for finding things and entertaining you and whatever, but if you can't find what it is you want, again, kind of defeated the purpose. So this goes into how I've looked at setting up files anyhow. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to talking to you next time.